Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. Thank you for joining me today. I mean, it is a ridiculously hot Houston, Texas day. And by the way, I wanted to mention, if any of you watching may have been impacted by Hurricane Beryl, thoughts and prayers with you guys. Hope everybody is okay. It hit us a little bit harder than I think a lot of us were expecting, so hope you guys are good. The other thing I want to say is I am actually the same dude from the previous video. Now, I know you couldn't tell, but for 4th of July, in the spirit of 1976, I went ahead and chopped off the beard and just rocked the mustache. So I fully regret that, and I cannot wait for it to grow back, but it will grow back, thank God. So anyway, since I got that off my chest, let's move on. So I actually don't own a scan tool myself, so what I did was I went to O'Reilly's and they did a scan for me, and I wasn't surprised at all to find what you guys see here. Multiple misfires, random multiple misfire. Cylinder 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, not surprised. What I actually was surprised about was that there was no other codes. I was expecting there to be like an O2 sensor or catalytic converter or something like that, but nothing else. So I was really happy about that. I got a little bit too excited. Instead of getting OE parts, I went to AutoZone and I got what was available that day. So I got Duralast ignition coils, wires, and then I got NGK Iridium spark plugs. I actually was so excited to get those installed that I didn't film any of that, but it wasn't as difficult as you might expect. I didn't remove the plenum, I didn't take anything apart, I just moved some wires out of the way, and it was about 1 hour to 1.5 hours tops. Got that done, took it for a test drive, night and day difference. Drove great. But what I did find in the process, after doing this scan and finding that I had random multiple misfires, I was like, okay, check engine light didn't come on. One thing that I might have forgotten to mention is, like, the day after I got the 4Runner, I took it to O'Reilly's and I had them do a scan. When it came up, there was a lot of misfiring issues, and that is when I was able to determine that the check engine light bulb was out. I should have known better. I should have done my due diligence and, you know, turned the key to accessory mode to make sure that the light came on, but I didn't do that. I found out that it was out after I went and got a scan and I saw these codes. I pulled the dash apart because my check engine light bulb was out, and I figured while I do that, I could go ahead and replace the backlights with LEDs. I already verified that the check engine light works, so I haven't started the car yet because I didn't want to start with anything disconnected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back together and go for a drive. Alright, the check engine light bulb has been replaced, so I know the bulb works because I put it in accessory mode, but I did not turn it on, so now it's time to see if we have an active check engine light. Well, that settles it. That light ain't turning off, so I guess it's time to figure out why we have a check engine light. Good news. I went to O'Reilly's to get a scan, and I don't know if you can see that, but you've got intake air temperature circuit and mass airflow circuit. The reason that's a good thing is because before I fixed the check engine light bulb, I tested the mass airflow sensor, and maybe you shouldn't do it this way, I don't know, but I saw on YouTube a couple different people say the same thing. If you want to test your mass airflow sensor, just turn on your vehicle, unplug it, and if it's working properly, your vehicle will shut off. And that's what happened. I unplugged it and the vehicle shut off. So I did that before I replaced the check engine light bulb, so I didn't know if it made a difference or whatever. But then after I replaced the light bulb, I put the vehicle in accessory mode, checked the light, made sure that it worked. It did. I turned it back off, and then that last clip that I recorded was the first time that I turned the vehicle on since I, you know, pulled the mass airflow sensor plug. So that check engine light was basically from that. I went to O'Reilly's, they ran for codes, that's what popped up. So I was like, oh, O'Reilly's doesn't clear codes anymore. So I was gonna go to AutoZone, but when I got in the car and turned it back on, no more check engine light, and I drove it for about 30 more minutes. Nothing came up, and it's running great. So we're just about done with phase one. Now when it comes to the brakes, I had a hell of a time, guys, let me tell you. I thought it was going to be simple and straightforward, replace the front pads and rotors, and I would have better pedal feel. Well, that wasn't the case. I replaced the front pads, I replaced the rotors. I went ahead and I did a factory replacement. I didn't want to waste time. I just really wanted to get the thing running good. So I didn't do the Tundra brake upgrade. I already have a 1999 Limited, so it's got the 319 millimeter rotors, the bigger ones. So I just went ahead and did a factory replacement, kind of a factory upgrade. I got the power stop pads and rotors. Got those installed, didn't change a thing. Took a look at the brake fluid. It wasn't leaking, but it was looking pretty dirty. So I did a full brake fluid flush and no change. After that, I did a little check for some leaks, and I did notice that there was a little bit of leakage coming from the master cylinder. I replaced the master cylinder and the power brake booster at the same time just to rule out any other issues. Still didn't fix the problem. I went onto a gravel road, slammed on the brakes to make sure that I actuated the ABS, made sure there was no air in the system. I bled again, way more than I had to. I mean, I did a full flush probably 2 times over. No change. So I started to get a little discouraged. I was like, okay, what's wrong with my brakes, dude? Well, this is when you realize that you can't put a price on experience, okay? Because I've never done anything with drum brakes. I've never serviced them. I've never replaced them. So I wasn't aware at how important your drums are for your pedal feel. If you guys don't know, the thing in your brakes, in your drum brakes specifically, that pushes the brake shoe onto the brake drums called the wheel cylinder. Got little pegs, pushes out, pushes the shoes into the drum. Well, if your shoes are not close enough to your drum to make contact, then when you push the brake pedal down and brake fluid goes throughout the system, it's going to extend those little things as far out as they can go. But with no contact and no resistance, your pedal's going to go all the way to the floor. The best part is there's an extremely easy and cost-free fix for this. You can go down there, there's a little dust cover, you remove the dust cover, and there's a little cog in there, like a little gear. So what you can do is you can remove your rear tires, grab your drum, kind of spin a little bit. If you don't feel any resistance, you just go on there and you just kind of adjust that cog and you keep testing your drum. Keep adjusting it and keep testing the drum until you start to feel some resistance. I did a couple more cogs just to make sure I had a good bit of resistance. Did that on both driver and passenger side. Again, night and day difference. Made a huge difference on pedal feel. Stopping power was restored, felt much better. I didn't replace the rear drums, I just adjusted them. That was it. Huge difference. So I'm not sad that I replaced all the other stuff because the pads and rotors needed to be done, the brake cylinder needed to be done, power brake booster needed to be done. I did the front brake lines, those needed to be done. So I didn't waste money, but I did waste a lot of time trying to diagnose the problem. That was a simple and free fix. Alright guys, so one of the other things that I fixed for phase one was the blower motor. If you guys remember from the last video, that thing clicked so loud, ridiculously loud. So, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but this right here is probably gonna be one of the first things I fix. That's the blower. Can you hear that? It is loud. Now, luckily, this is an older vehicle. Shouldn't be too hard. I probably could just take out the glove box and get that replaced. It was just extremely annoying. It blew like it was supposed to. AC is nice and cold, but it was super loud. So I decided I was gonna go ahead and fix that. That's an easy replacement. I was hoping that there was just gonna be some debris in there, like some leaves or something, and that was what was causing the clicking. But it was actually like super clean in there. There was no dust or anything. So pulled that out, found a replacement at AutoZone. Didn't film any of that. I'm sorry, I was just, like I said, overzealous, and I just dove in and I took care of it. Super easy though. I didn't even have to remove the glove box. It was just like 3 screws in one plug. Pulled it out, popped the next one in there, and took like 20 minutes. Easy peasy. In addition to the AC blower, one of the other really annoying things that I fixed was the door keyhole. So supposedly there was a piece of key that was broken off in there. I went through and I tried to remove it with a couple of different techniques that I saw online. I used super glue on the end of a key. That didn't work. I tried to use some paper clips. That didn't work. So I tried the easy way didn't work, so I ended up taking the door panel apart and pulling the key cylinder out. When I got the key cylinder out, I ended up taking it apart, and that in and of itself was a task. I mean, I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to get the thing put back together, but I found that it wasn't actually a key that was broken inside of there. It was like the end of a zip tie or like a small piece of plastic. So I guess maybe somebody locked their keys in the car or something and, you know, tried to break in so they could get their keys out, and there was a little chunk of plastic stuck in the back of it, so it just prevented the key from being able to go all the way in. Unfortunately, during all of that, I broke the back of the key cylinder. So there's like a little flathead shaped thing that is on the back of the key cylinder that inserts into the electronic actuator that rotates and it sends an electric signal. I thought it was like a flathead spot. It looked exactly like a flathead spot, so I stuck the flathead in there and I twisted it to try to take the key cylinder apart, and I sheared those little pieces right off. So at that point, I didn't realize that's what it was for, so I proceeded to fix the key cylinder, take the key piece out, and when I was reassembling everything, I found that that piece was pretty crucial for the operation of the rest of the doors. At this point, my ignition key is one key, my door keys are another key, and then my hatch key is another key that I don't even have. So if I don't have the electronic actuator, then I won't even be able to open the hatch. So I ended up going on eBay and ordering a new set of door lock cylinders for the driver and passenger doors. I didn't get OEM parts, but I looked at the pictures, it said it was exact. And then sure enough, it showed up, and instead of it having that little slit in the back for the door lock actuator, it was flat. So I had to go to Home Depot, I bought a Dremel, and I made one myself, and that actually worked. Surprisingly, it worked, and I put those in. Alright guys, I realize this footage is probably going to look awful because it's dark outside, but the lock cylinder actually clicks into the little clamps on the lock switch, so we're just going to give it a shot. There we go. That's lock. Yeah, unlock doesn't seem to be working. Left works, right doesn't. Very weird. Ideally in the future, I'll be able to find a junkyard vehicle that has the factory key and it matches the ignition and the doors and the hatch. If that's the case, I will put in the work to remove those just so I can have the factory key with one key that works for all the doors. That would be preferable, but obviously that's just like a picky preference. The vehicle works perfectly fine without it, so it's not a hot ticket item. One of the other issues I ran into was while replacing the door lock cylinder, I found out that the actual handle itself was broken. So on the back of the handle, you've got two retaining screw holes. Well, it's just like a metal screw hole that's got a plastic shroud around it, and one of them was cracked off. So the door handle was a little loose, and I noticed that the one that wasn't cracked completely off had a little bit of a split in it, and the last thing I want is for my door handle to just be hanging out. So I ended up going on eBay. I found a listing for a green 1999 4Runner handle. It was 50 bucks. I went ahead and bought it. And when it showed up, it wasn't from a 1999, it was from a 1998. So the paint color was ever so slightly different, and it does bother me. So I ended up leaving the broken one on the door for now. I did find one in a junkyard actually, but the thing is, these guys, they won't sell you a door handle on a door that's good because they want to sell it as a unit. So I had to find a 4Runner that had a broken door, but the door handle was still good. So I actually did find that. I got that handle, so I have a spare for when this one breaks, but I don't feel like pulling the door apart right now. So the one that's in there is the one that is staying in there. So this is the door handle that I got off of a junkyard takeoff. It was difficult to find this because a lot of these guys, they won't sell you the door handle unless the door is actually damaged. Usually they want to sell the handle with the door as a whole unit. In this case, I got lucky. The car rolled, so the door was completely smashed in, but the handle was intact. Now, you probably can't tell. This is the one I bought on eBay. All right, maybe on camera, I don't know. On camera, they might look like the exact same color, but if you guys know, 96, 97, 98, there was like an almost teal color, this one. And, you know, the listing said that it was a 1999. that it came off of, but it wasn't, because this is what a 1999 looks like. And when you put it on the door, it's freaking obvious that it's not the right color, and that's the kind of thing that really bothers me. So I want this thing to look as good as possible. I want it to operate as good as possible. So every little thing that I can do, I'm gonna try to do the best I can, and that includes color match body parts. So there you have it, guys. That pretty much covers it for phase one. I know phase one is not nearly as interesting as some other things that we're gonna be getting into, but in my opinion, these are the most important, because this is kind of the foundation of the operation of the vehicle. Brakes are important, the engine needs to be running smoothly. You don't want to get locked out of your car, so getting the door lock cylinder and the door handle and stuff fixed. Those are important little things that are like, I don't really want to do it, but I have to do it. So I went ahead and knocked those things out early on just to get them out of the way, so I can start moving on to the bigger and more fun aspects of this build out. To be honest with you guys, if I wanted to do like a super budget build, I would have probably skipped the door lock cylinder, and I probably would have even skipped the AC blower motor. I would have just made sure that the misfiring issue was addressed, and then I would have moved on to suspension and tires and brakes and maybe seat covers. I mean, those are like the smallest things that would create the biggest impact. Replacing the seat covers would make the interior look mint. A lift and wheels and tires would make it drive a lot better, make it look a lot sexier, make it more capable off-road. And that would be about it. But I'm looking to build a super reliable beast, and I want to establish a baseline. So we just want to correct any little issues. Some things might just be me being a little picky, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. That's gonna be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do want to apologize. I know that I missed out on some of the detailed things I forgot to film. So if there's any questions you guys have, please hit me in the comment section below, and I will have no problem, I will have no problem going back and filming that stuff for you guys, so just let me know. Aside from that, next phase, we're doing a detail inside and out. I'm gonna start making a list of all the little things that need to be addressed and start cleaning it up really good for the paint correction. We're gonna do the grille and the front bumper. We're gonna do LED conversion for the interior and exterior. And I'm really excited. This thing is gonna start looking really sexy. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you in the next one.